Lagos weddings are always full of drama, but that night, something happened no one in the hall will ever forget. A bride in her glowing white gown who refused to sit beside her husband. And what she revealed shocked us all. I am Amara. And if you had told me 2 years ago that I would witness a wedding that would change the entire city, I would have laughed. Lagos weddings are always dramatic, the designer gowns, the music that rattles your bones, the endless aso-ebi colors filling every corner like a sea of fabric. But this one wasn't just another Lagos wedding. It was a story that spread from the island to the mainland, whispered in salons, offices, and bus stops, because of what one bride did. And I was there. It was a Saturday morning in June, the kind of hot, restless day when the air feels heavy with something unsaid. My best friend, Chiamaka, had invited me to her cousin's wedding at Echo Hotels. The groom was a big businessman. People said he owned filling stations and imported cars from Dubai. The bride, Ngozi, was the kind of woman you couldn't forget even if you tried. Tall, graceful, with the kind of beauty that made even other women stare. She had studied law in London but returned to Lagos last year. People said she was quiet, almost too quiet for the noise of this city. But you could tell she carried secrets in her eyes. I had never met her before that day, but by evening, I would know her story like it was my own. The hall was decorated in pure white and gold flowers hanging from the ceiling, candles lined up like soldiers along the aisle, and a massive chandelier glowing as if the sun had been trapped inside it. Guests were everywhere, dressed in expensive lace, sequins, and jewel that looked sharp enough to cut glass. The air smelled of jollof rice, fried plantain, and perfume that clung too heavily to people's skin. The DJ was already playing DeVito, and people were laughing, gossiping, snapping selfies. I remember adjusting my lilac gown and whispering to Chiamaka, "Babe, this wedding is already too much. I hope the bride doesn't faint under all this light." She laughed and whispered back, "Ngozi is strong. You'll see." The church service had been smooth. They had exchanged vows, though I noticed something in Ngozi's voice was steady, but her eyes never really softened when she looked at the groom. At the time, I told myself it was just nerves, but now I realize it was something else. After the photographs and laughter, we all moved to the reception. That's when it happened. The MC called for the couple's first entrance as husband and wife. The doors opened, and they walked in the groom in a white agbada embroidered with gold, and the bride in a fitted ivory gown that shimmered under the lights. Everyone stood cheering, spraying Naira notes into the air. Phones lifted, flashes sparkled. They walked to their table, but when they got there, something strange happened. The groom sat down. Ngozi remained standing. At first, people thought it was just part of the choreography. You know, Lagos brides, sometimes they like to dance a little longer, show off the gown. But minutes passed. She didn't sit. The MC, sweating under his blazer, tried to joke. Our beautiful bride wants to keep showing us her beauty. Oh yeah, madam, sit small, let us see your husband smile." Still, she didn't move. Her hands were on the table, clutching the edge so tightly I could see her knuckles through the lace gloves. Her eyes were fixed straight ahead, unblinking. The hall grew quieter. The DJ turned down the music. Then she spoke. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried, clear and sharp, cutting through the silence. "I will not sit down." The groom turned, embarrassed, laughing nervously. He touched her arm. "Sit down, my wife. People are watching." She shook her head slowly, and for the first time she looked directly into his eyes. "Shiki, if I sit down beside you, I am telling this whole world that I accept the lies you have built, and I cannot do that." Gasps rippled through the hall. A woman in front of me dropped her champagne glass. The groom's mother, a woman with layers of coral beads stacked around her neck, stood up immediately. "What is this nonsense? Ngozi, behave yourself." But Ngozi didn't even blink. Then she said it. "You already have a wife and a son in Enugu." The hall erupted. People shouted, chairs scraped, phones started recording. The groom jumped to his feet, his face darkening like a storm. "Don't listen to her," he shouted. "She is confused. She's mad." But Ngozi raised her hand, calm, controlled, like a lawyer cross-examining a witness. "I have the marriage certificate in my bag. I have the boys' photographs. Your so-called business trips to Enugu were not business at all. I know about Amara, the woman you left in that small house, waiting for you to keep your promises. I met her last month. My heart froze. She had said my name, but not me, another woman. Still, hearing it made the moment feel even closer, more real. The groom lunged at her, trying to snatch the microphone, but two of her brothers, tall men in fitted suits, stepped forward and blocked him. Ngozi's voice grew stronger. You thought I didn't know. You thought I was so desperate to wear this dress, to sit beside you and smile for pictures, that I would ignore the truth. But marriage is not a costume. A wife is not a seat you can swap when you get tired. If I sit down, I become part of your lie, and I refuse. She lifted her chin, tears glistening but not falling. I stand because truth must stand. The hall was chaos now. The groom's relatives were shouting insults, calling her a disgrace, accusing her of witchcraft. The bride's family stood like a wall behind her, refusing to let anyone touch her. The MC had dropped his microphone. The DJ just sat, frozen. Me? I was shaking. My chest pounded as I watched her. This woman I had never met before, standing like a pillar in her gown. My palms were sweating, but my eyes couldn't leave her. In that moment, she was larger than life, more than just a bride. She was every woman who had been lied to, every girl promised forever, but given betrayal. And then, as if the universe wanted to seal her words, the doors of the hall burst open. Two policemen walked in. The groom froze. The entire hall turned. One of the officers raised his voice. Mr. Chaikobi, you are under arrest for fraud and bigamy. The murmur turned into an explosion. People leapt to their feet, screaming, filming, pointing. The groom stammered, sweat pouring down his face. He tried to push past, but the policemen were firm. Ngozi finally released her grip on the table. She stepped back slowly, and for the first time since the reception began, she smiled. Not a smile of joy, but of release, she whispered, though we could all hear it. I did not sit beside you as your wife. I stood as my father's daughter. And with that, she walked out of the hall, her veil trailing like a banner of victory behind her. I followed her outside with Chiamaka. The evening air hit us, heavy with the smell of rain. Ngozi was standing by the fountain, her gown shimmering under the gray sky. She looked at us briefly, then at the crowd spilling from the hall, buzzing with shock. Someone asked her softly, Ngozi, what will you do now? She sighed, her shoulders straightening. I will go home. I will rest. Tomorrow I will start again. Better to walk alone in truth than sit in lies with company. Those words carved themselves into me. It has been a year since that wedding, and Lagos is still talking. Some say Ngozi is foolish, that she embarrassed herself. Others call her brave, a woman who refused to play the part society wrote for her. Me? I know what I saw. I saw a bride who never sat down. And every time I sit in a wedding hall now, adjusting my gown, watching couples smile for cameras, I remember her. And I whisper to myself, Amara, never sit where your heart should not be. Because sometimes standing up is the only way to save yourself. And so the bride never sat down. Her truth stood taller than lies, and her courage became the story the whole city carried. The question is, if you were in her place, would you have the strength to stand? Subscribe for next folktale.